Okay, that's better. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first rating video. Well, second. Well, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Second rating video I'm recording with this setup. First one with the proper lighting. So let's do this. Final Fantasy Tactics, both the War of the Lions version and the Ivalice Chronicles remaster. Esther, why both in one rating video? Because are you really gonna want? I could double dip, but the fuck's the point of that? You know? I mean, granted, you could argue, well, that'd be like 6 videos later, but I'd rather just kind of do the take this rating video and just kind of do a side-by-side comparison, because I feel like that would just work better, in my opinion. So we're gonna start with the War of the Lions version, and then I'll load up I'll load up my document for the thingy. I've of course got my notebook right here. I just need to get my pen out of the mess. And we'll go from there. Here. So, let's go through the War of the Lions document first and go from there. I just got to remember to, use the timestamps from the version that I'm talking about. So, 6 sessions, which I believe was the same for both. Let me just confirm that real quick. Heck. Oh, I'm wrong. It was 6 sessions for War of the Lions, and 7 sessions for Ivalice Chronicles. I did, in fact, use save states on the PSP version, because, yeah, it's the PSP version, as we'll talk about in the gameplay negatives. And the run, of course, was funded by In Chaos. Yes. So, there we go. Let's get started. The story was a plus 92. Let's talk about it. So the localization was a triple positive. I love the old English dialogue, the Shakespearean dialogue. I'm a sucker for that stuff. When it's done well, and I think both this and Ivalice Chronicles do it very well. So there's that. Speaking of which, triple positive for the dialogue. A lot of what the characters say, feels very good. It is really good and just fun to read, and especially fun to listen to too. But we'll talk about the listening to part when we get to the remaster. That's just part of this. So I gave a positive for the choice of songs within the scenes. This is effectively a music direction positive, but it's more about the choice of songs rather than how the music is used. The brickwork, sprite work, and animations were all a single positive. A background lore positive for the Zodiac Braves. Gave a positive to Lucavi for being an interesting as an interesting detail. I suppose you could say that's a positive to the Lucavi plot itself. World building was a triple positive. From the Beowulf name to the War of the Lions itself. Oh, I love the world building in this thing. Triple positives. Triple positive there. I gave a double positive to gameplay story integration. Which, funny enough, I do that a lot, where I'll give general gameplay story integration positives. I have started it as of, I think it's like 3 games later, to start implementing more specifics versus general. Because usually I just go, okay, does it deserve general or does it deserve specifics, you know? Triple positive to the plot. I love this plot. Story sequencing was a triple. Pacing was a triple. The atmosphere was a single. The tone was a triple. As I thought the use of tone with that throughout was a lot better than the use of atmosphere. Weirdly enough. I gave a triple positive to internal continuity. No positives to external continuity, because the closest you get with that is Cloud, and even then I don't really count that because there's not enough on display, you know. It's Cloud, he's here. Okay, and what do they do with it is the point. I gave a single positive to humor. Gave a positive to the themes. The voice acting in the War of the Lions version is very limited, as there's very few of the animated cutscenes, but I think the voice acting is really well done. Phil Lamar, Robin Downs, they all do pretty good jobs, all things considered. And they do great they do good work, despite how limited their screen time is. So there you go. 36 presentation positives. Now for the characters. Olivia, I did it in terms of appearance. Ivalice is actually pretty interesting throughout the entire thing. I enjoy her character. So, and this is where I sound like a bit of a fanboy. Agrias, for me, is the FF waifu. Don't at me. I know that some people are going to argue Tifa or Yuna or, you know, somebody else. But I'm sorry, Agrias is where I firmly plant my flag there. There, right? I stated it plainly in this positive. Agrias is one of my favorite characters in all of FF, and is easily best FF girl, period. Even better than Tifa, Aerith, Yuna, and the rest. And if you remember from my Final Fantasy Marathon, I had some pretty high praise for Tifa, Aerith, and Yuna. Hell, Yuna was one of the things that made D10-2 enjoyable for me, for God's sakes. So, yeah. Speaking of high praise, Ramza. I will forever praise the character of Ramza Beowulf, because he is my favorite Final Fantasy protagonist. Zero question. He is effectively the Van Arkride of Final Fantasy, and I mean that sincerely. Because Van Arkride, for those that don't know, is my favorite Trails protagonist. Here's my favorite FF protag right here. Ramza Beowulf. Oh, his growth is fascinating. He isn't stupid, and by the end, he isn't stupid by the end, and is kind to a fault. And that's a flaw I can respect. Being so overly kind that it can get you into trouble, you know? And then there's Delita. Now, I hesitate to call Delita a villain. You know, if he counts as one, then he is the best Final Fantasy villain, no question. Though if he doesn't, he is the best antagonist in the entire series. Delita is fascinating to me. What's my timestamp here? I should find some footage of Delita. Because Delita, like, I'll probably have it up for Ramza too, but, like, Delita is fascinating to me because he is complex, right? He's understandable, he's driven, and for my money, this is the most well-written a Final Fantasy character has been ever. And I mean that sincerely. So, yeah. Less debatable, though, is Dysadarg as a villain. You don't really find out he's a villain until Chapter 2, admittedly, but there's hints of it in Chapter 1. And, you know what? I actually really like him as a villain, so... And yes, I will be praising the shit out of Ben Starr when we get to the Ivalice Chronicles side of this rating video. This is going to be a bit of a long one if you can't tell. Zalbog is wonderfully three-dimensional. By the way, for a lot of these, I'm only going to talk, when I get to the Ivalice Chronicles version, I'm only going to talk about what's different because effectively all of the positives that I'm giving here, with very few exceptions, and I'll name them when I see them, are in the Ivalice Chronicles version. So that's the other reason why I'm combining these, because otherwise I'd just be repeating myself. And nobody's going to sit there through 2-hour-long videos, hearing me say the same damn things on repeat, you know? I like Alma. I find her to be a delight. Wheatgraph is an interesting villain, and being able to defeat him is pretty damn satisfying. Gafgarian is another interesting villain, and is a much better foil for Ramza than Argath could ever hope to be. We'll talk about it more in the negatives. Auron is a bro. Frickin' love Auron. He's awesome. Orlando's ward, grandson, and I forget the relationship off the top of my head. Construct 8. I like Construct 8 mostly for his introduction, which that also added to the humor. So that's it for character positives. So we've got, so that's 37 to 53. So 16 positives. Positives. Not too bad, but definitely not the most we've ever had. I mean, then again, Trails is cheating, but shrug. Now let's get into our moment positives. The confrontation with Meludia for the first time. Shows off Ramza and Delita's characters and gives us a taste of how fucked in the head Argath is. By the way, if you like Argath, you're probably going to hate me because I have nothing but bile and vitriol to spit at Argath. And even in these positives, I will be spitting venom at Argath. strap in. Despite how much Argath pisses me right the fuck off during it, the scene with Delita's rage is also another awesome moment. And shows off just how depraved and, well, classist Argath is. It's on full fucking display. He basically literally says that commoners are beneath him because he has noble blood in his veins. You might as well say that Delita has a different skin tone, Argath, for all the fucking difference it makes. That's as far as I want to go with that. So here's a positive that I think is different in the Ivalice Chronicles version, because Robin Outkin Down sells the hell out of Delita's lamentations, right? The whole, will endeavor grant me an army? I would save Teacher's hands if it were in my power to do so. Oh, but I cannot. You know, that whole scene. Great stuff. In fact, I should probably jot that down as a timestamp. Yeah. Because yes, that scene is so good. It's such a great establishing moment for Delita that it just fits, you know. Great scene, love it, absolutely love it. I love the final confrontation with Meludia. Great stuff. I didn't care for Meludia as a character specifically, but she was responsible for a couple of good moments, so cool. The entire first fight with Wheatgraph is just gold for me and hints at the larger scale of the story nicely. Despite the fact that they come from Argath, the dialogue in the final map of Chapter 1 is excellent and is easily the best interactions in the chapter, save for Wheatgraph himself. So, cool. Also, that final scene. That final scene of Chapter 1. Like, just that final scene. Whoops, sorry. I'm trying to get this. Okay, 18. I'll know what I mean when I say that. Because, yeah, that whole final scene with Zeke Den blowing up. You know, with Zeke Den blowing up, Teacher's dead, and especially Ramza's final words, which is about the only thing I actually prefer in the War of the Lions version when it comes to that scene is the way Phil Lamar and the voice direction chooses to present those final lines of the chapter. They are fine in the Ivalice Chronicles, but they work better with the background, with the text on the static background, as opposed to the animation, which actually is included in the Ivalice Chronicles. Fun fact. But I actually think it works better, like I said, with the original presentation. But I get chills every single time I hear Ramza give the speech. And I wrote the whole thing down because, of course I did. Right? I had lived my life the only way I had ever known. But when those pillars came crashing down, I did not stand and watch them fall. I turned and walked away. And as he's saying I turned, that's when the screen cuts to black in the animation. that's why I say the presentation of that is very, very good. Love it. I also gave a positive to the Corpse Brigade plotline, specifically in Chapter 1, which I probably shouldn't have done if I was going to give plot positives. I should just give it to specific plot lines, but shrug, live and learn. That's what an audit is for. At least a year down the line. I don't remember if I had said how long the cutoff point was, but I would prefer it to be at least a year. Because that gives the game enough time for me to be able to say, okay, now let's go ahead and do it. Right? I also gave a triple positive to the intro, which I chop at the end of Chapter 1. It is the best intro an FF has ever had, in my opinion. Bar none. It introduces us to the world, the characters, and it even sets up major players, such as Ramza, Delita, Solbog, and especially Dysadurg. So, cool. Also, fun fact, in the Ivalice Chronicles, I actually had an outburst. I actually had an outburst at Argath. Actually, this isn't super important to the review, so I'm going to pause, because I'm actually going to have future Alex put that rant, put that outburst that he did against Argath in the Ivalice Chronicles in here, because I was so angry at Argath. I was so angry with Argath by that point, because the voice actor in the Ivalice Chronicles sells the hell out of Argath. Props to the voice actor on that. I don't even remember his name. I'm pretty sure it's in the Ivalice Chronicles document, but credit to the voice actor. But that rant, I got so vitriolically angry, and I literally said, fuck off, so that you can be a filler map in chapter 3 or 4. Yeah, fun fact, that map where you fight the resurrected Argath is a War of the Lions exclusive map. And I didn't know that, because the only version I had ever beaten was War of the Lions. So when I say this,
no, not at the hands of milksop shells. I am better than this. Better than you all.
Oh, shut the fuck up and die, so you can be resurrected for a fucking filler map in Chapter 4, or you worthless sack of shit! Yeah, kind of defeats the purpose. It kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? God. Yeah. But anyways, moving on. The scene at the falls with Delita. Really like how that shows how complex this story is. Because it's not Delita is a villain in the end, it's Delita is not against Ramza. Either because he realizes, oh, Ramza is just being Ramza, or whatnot. Yeah. I do like the scene right after we save Mustadio. Uh, the one where he begs to join us, but Agrius hesitates. I like the fact that Agrius is cautious and Mustadio is desperate. It's good stuff. The heart-to-heart between Ovilia and Agrius right after Mustadio joins, that's a good scene. I mean, that's the one where they're by that tree. When they're heading towards which castle it is? When we're going to speak with Cardinal de Croix. That's a good scene. The whole fight with Gafgarian at the fake execution. Yushin. That's what I'm actually gonna show. No, here. Because man, oh man, is that some damn good dialogue. My opinion. Really damn good dialogue. And I can hear it. I still have that tab muted. Good. Good. Alright. Next up. The scene where Falmar reveals that Ivalice is not the true princess. It has the punch it should and leads to some good stuff down the line. Now, here's another thing that I didn't realize until going through the Ivalice Chronicles version. This is apparently a War of the Lions exclusive scene. Joffrey recruiting Wheatgraf. It's weird that that's not in the original, but it's not, and that's why it's not in the Ivalice Chronicles. Weird, honestly. Speaking of not in the original, Delita protecting Ovilia at the falls. That's another great Delita scene. So, Delacroix's transformation into a Lucavi. Great plot implications there. This is actually a scene that's in both. Delita is setting the War of the Lions in motion. That is such a good scene. And honestly, I love that scene every time I see it. So that's a good one. The entire Orban Monastery arc in Chapter 3, it works very well and shows that things aren't quite as cut and dry, both in Isolde's blindness, thanks to the church's lies, and Wheatgraf showing just how far he has fallen. So, and then Wheatgraf making his bargain with Bellius. That's a good scene. And then, of course, Simon giving up the last of his strength to get us the scriptures of Germanique. Oh, I love that. It also gets us some much-needed info on the truth of the Zodiac Braves. I also gave the scriptures of Germanique 2 positives for being fascinating and interesting in their approach, while shedding interesting light on the Church of Glabados. It was namely that they've been about all the shit they've been lying about this whole time. And considering the church has been portrayed as evil, they don't come across as hard left turn into stupidity, like, say, I don't know, the Septium Church does. But I digress. In fact, I think I've said too much. Oh well. So, the declaration of his ambition. Yes. Yes. This is one I'm gonna wanna jot down because this is, of course, the scene in the garden when he says, I am their witting puppet no more. Or, I will exact from them the price of their gluttonous feast. Blah, 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 right? Right. Great scene. Love it. The talk of him, tearing things down, building a kingdom worthy of Ivalice. Great stuff. And it's also a good way to show, to get us to decide whether or not we think Delita is in the right. I would say it's complicated, simply put. Our second encounter with Orin, when he's hunting those deserters, says everything it needs to. Note how we mentioned nothing of the High Confessor's plot, by the way, and Orin has already got people looking into it. Think about that for a second. This was only the second time we encountered Orin at all, and he was already investigating the High Confessor. We didn't say shit other than our name in the first encounter. Love that. And then, of course, I have to make a timestamp for this one. The church cutscene. I have loved this scene ever since I first saw it, and to be honest with you, with the way that it's handled in the Ivalice Chronicles version, which is similar to the original, I love it just as much there too. Like, I say, like my positive says, where do I even begin? So, the direction, both in terms of the music and the voice direction on Robin Atkin Downes and Phil Lamar, that's triple positive territory right there. I also want to give praise to the plot of the church and Delita's way of averting it to suit his ends. So that's a character point in Delita's favor. Then there's also a character point for Ramza, because Ramza asking Delita to join him after Delita declares that Ramza is no enemy of his. That's great stuff. Also, I love that Delita declares that Ramza is no enemy of him. I also like that, and I especially like that Delita being unsure of his feelings of Ivalice helps make their romance all the stronger, because he's not even fully sure if he is in love with Ivalice or if she is just, as Ramza puts it, a tool that Delita is using. For the record, I do think he eventually was really in love with Ivalice. I just wish he had Delita had revealed that Orin and the Chica there were still alive near the end. Might have saved him from a knife in his dagger in his chest. Yes. So, props there. 6 positives for that scene. Can you tell I love it? The entire Bessalot section. Oh, I actually really like how that just shows just how fucked the War of the Lions really was at its core, you know. The scene where Orlando joins is a fun one. It shows how loved Ramza's father was. The meeting between Daisadarg and Lothri, that's an interesting scene to me. Delita and Orin's confrontation, when we think Orin and the Chica might be dead after that. That's a good scene. The scene where Zalbog examines Barbanath's grave, wonderfully chilling scene in how understated it is. Because you really have to actually sit and think about the lines being spoken to really understand the full depth and breadth, of exactly what is, what Zalbog is discovering there. Specifically of why, their father's body failed him. And who was responsible for that. The whole confrontation with Daisadarg is honestly pretty damn satisfying. It makes me lament not being able to add Zalbog to the party. Despite what the narrative does with his death, which is actually the next point I'll talk about, I think the confrontation is still really good. But oh my god, did I love it in the frickin' Ivalice Chronicles version. Oh my god, we'll talk about it when we get there. But, damn, dude. And then the tragedy of the zombification of Zalbog. Grotesque and wonderfully horrifying. The entire fight is dripping with tragedy, and it is glorious. Also, better thanks to the voice acting in the Ivalice Chronicles, by the way. Now for one that I wish was in the Ivalice Chronicles, the secret scene that shows up by having 500,000 gil and landing on a town known exactly on Cancer 1. That is the Agrius' birthday event. I wish that was in the Ivalice Chronicles. It was so damn good. It's the one thing I'll lament. It's the one scene I lament. Other than, obviously, being able to add both here to the party, I also like the War of the Lions exclusive quest about the deserters. That's good. Beowulf and Reese's War of the Lions exclusive side quest with the dude that turned her into the dragon and everything, and her getting kidnapped and all that. Great stuff. I also absolutely adore the ending. The ending is so good. Reveals that Alma and Ramza survived. It's a really good, bittersweet ending, and I love it. And I think this is an outro worthy of a triple positive. So, 109 story positives. And I've been going for just under 40 minutes. Not bad. Now let's get into the negatives, shall we? So, this is kind of a writing issue I have. The game has a nasty habit of building up villains only to unceremoniously remove them from the plot before we even have a chance to end them ourselves. like, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but even if it led to Won the Battle, Lost the cutscene, I'd sooner take that over the blue balls, you know? The animated cutscenes kind of have an audio balancing problem, admittedly, so that was a pain. And that's it. Just two presentation negatives. Yeah, I couldn't think of any negatives to give the presentation, really. Now let's get into the character negatives. Argath! I said I'd be bitching about him a lot, and here we are. He is one of my most hated characters in all of FF. He is arrogant, classist, and has the subtlety of Godzilla, and has all of the subtlety of Godzilla stepping on you. Fuck this asshole. He deserves a triple negative. Because, as I talked about during the stream, he is a square. He is a round peg trying to go into a square hole. He just doesn't fit. Because, again, he is basically the giant because plot character. Things only happen because he's there and because he acts in a specific way. He is the plot driving the narrative forward. And that's kind of been my conflict with him, you know? So, upon examination, I really don't like Ludovic. I don't think he's a very good character, as he's built up as a big deal. And then we trick him and Delacroix just unceremoniously murders him. Lame. And Barrington is no better, as he is even more disgusting, and then is literally yeeted from the plot by Elmdor's bitch, blueballing us in the process. Yeah. Ugh. And then there's Marek, who is just overly loyal to Barrington until one line from him makes him finally grow a fucking brain, and that just annoys the everlasting piss out of me. And can go to hell. And that's it. 6 character negatives. That's it. Yeah, not a lot of negatives if you're in case you couldn't tell. So here's another triple negative. All right. So Argath leaves. I forget his name. You know, the Corpse Brigade dude who was holding Tetra hostage alive while killing Tetra. I find that to be really fucking stupid and more than a bit contrived. Because again, it's like, you're just gonna let the dude slink off into the fucking thing without even trying to shoot another arrow? Or quickly trying to reload? Like, what the fuck is going on with that, you know? It's so stupid. Stupid. If Delita had managed to get to her, found out she was dead, and then got mad at Argath, and that started the fight, I'd be more okay with it. But as it stands, it's this one contrivance and another that I'll get to after this point has always bugged me completely. So, you know, triple negative there. And it, honestly, if A, we saw Dice Dark see him as a worthless pawn, or B, had Zalbog react with irritation at Argath's butchery, this wouldn't bug me nearly as much, you know? Then there's Zalbog's reaction to this crap, or rather, his lack of a reaction. There are no consequences, or even hints that Zalbog might have regretted that this had to happen. There's nothing, and it feels wrong to me. So, yeah, that's a triple negative there. Then there's Merrick getting revived, which bugs me on a level that's difficult to put into words, and honestly stems from the fact that I do not like Merrick as a character. If I did, his survival would be interesting, rather than making me wish the one to be saved had been Tetra instead, you know? Then there's the nature of the several maps in Chapter 4 just feeling like filler to me, and not even interesting filler. They are just all boring fillers. With the worst offender being the map that I mentioned with the rant. I guess I should have put the rant here, but whatever. I'll stick to putting it up there. You know, with the worst offender being that map that I mentioned that made that rant I mentioned up in the positives kind of pointless, which was Argath's return, you know? Like, it had some potential to be interesting. They squandered it completely. 17 negatives. That's it. Holy shit. That's kind of funny in that regard. Only 7 minutes to talk about that. Anyways. So let's get into the gameplay positives, as the gameplay did end up net positive, but there's a lot of there'll be quite a few negatives to go through, so let's get to it. The soundtrack, triple positive. That's not a surprise for me. The tutorials were a positive. The options were a positive. The HUD, info in game, the save system with plenty of prompts to save at various points of the game, which was a precedent that my reviews set with Cold Steel 1. I like the atomization. I like the core combat. The core combat was 2 positives. I like the combat animations. I like the spell effects. I like the power progression curve. That was 2 positives. The difficulty curve was also 2 positives. I love this job system so damn much. Some of the abilities are grindy AF, but honestly, a lot of them are just so worth it that I don't mind that so much, and so triple positive there. With extra praise to the ability to mix and match different ability sets. Also great variety in the jobs, as they are all varied and interesting, despite only the classes of party members like Agrias and Orlando being individually interesting. With a special shout out to said character-specific classes, such as Agrias' Holy Knight, Luso's Game Hunter, and Balthier's Sky Pirate, etc. Then I started giving positives to the individual classes that I thought were interesting. Squire, I feel, is a good starting class. Next, Chemist is your item user at range and is awesome, and then you combine that with Auto Potion, Safeguard, and Treasure Hunter skills, and you have a good utility class. Monk was a triple positive because god damn, our Monk's pretty damn powerful and can be great healers if you want them to be, because of the chakra and revive abilities. Oh yeah, and they can heal both HP and MP and revive. And oh yeah, by the way, did I mention that those skills are... the use of those skills is free and cannot fail? Yeah, that's a triple positive right there, especially considering white magic can actually fail, which is bad. I like the abilities the thief gets. Orator is actually pretty useful when you know what you're doing with it. It allows you to manipulate the bravery and faith systems, and even recruit enemies to your side. Geomancers are fun and very useful, especially if you've learned all of the attack skills, which makes them able to deal AoE damage for free on any terrain. It's not substantial damage, but it is definitely good damage. Dragoons. Love the Dragoons. Triple positive. Hell yeah. Ninja is not my favorite class in the game, but it is damn useful with the dual wield and turning weapons that are clogging your inventory into damage. So, yeah, triple positive there. Dancer has some lucrative classes that can really turn battles in your favor. so I gave that a triple positive. And then there's Bard, which is the male equivalent of Dancer, which is equally awesome as it is the same thing, but the inverse. Bard skills buff the party and do so awesomely, right? The Dancer is more about inflicting statuses on enemies. The Bard is more about buffing the party. So, there you go. For as steep of a cost as Dark Knight it takes to get, I do like Dark Knight as a class. It is actually a decently powerful class. It's just that it takes so long to unlock it that it almost doesn't feel worth it in the end. Right? Because it takes you so goddamn it'll take you so much goddamn grinding that it's not even funny. I'm pretty sure I discussed it in the negatives, so we'll get there. Screw the haters, I like the map design, for the most part. The encounter design on the story maps I also felt was well done. Again, most of the time. I do like that guest allies never crystallize until they permanently join. That's a good quality of life feature. I like that. I feel like there's some good viscerality here. Monster recruiting and breeding is lucrative, both from the prospect of having ally units, but also fodder for getting some great items through poaching, which, yeah, that was a double positive. The acquisition of JP is kind of awesome, as each party member gains a bit of JP towards all of their classes in the party, which helps with the more grindy jobs. Some of the more grindy jobs to unlock and unlocking Dark Knight. What I mean by this, what this triple positive is talking about, if you're reading that and going, the fuck are you talking about, Blue Wolf? Let's say I have a black mage, a white mage, a knight, and a monk in my party, right? And let's say the monk is using fundamentals and he's gaining focus every turn and gaining JP every turn. That monk is gaining, what did I say, white mage, black mage, and knight? He's gaining points in white mage, black mage, and knight at the same time as gaining JP for his class. And then the knight is gaining monk, white mage, and black mage, and so on and so forth. That's what I mean when I say that. That's what that triple positive is talking about. That's good stuff. And it definitely cut down on the grind time. Double positive to the gameplay story integration. I gave a positive to MMO variety. I think there's some good replay value here, so I gave it 2 positives there. Both the prologue and the first, and so yeah, 58 presentation positives. Not too shabby. Moving on. The prologue and first map, nicely easy into the flow of combat. I'm assuming that's an intro. Or no, intro's chapter 1, never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. Both confrontations with Meludia, I gave a single gameplay positive to. Despite the 2 monks and a chocobo, Wheatgraph's chapter 1 fight is actually pretty excellent. The battle with Argath is weirdly fair and interesting. I say screw the haters a lot in this document. Wow. I am actually surprising myself with that. This is a good intro, 2 positives to Chapter 1 gameplay-wise. The fights with Gafgarian are well designed and are appropriately challenging. Plane is deleted the 2 times you do is fun as he comes with good kit. Your first encounter with the Lucavi of the Scorpio sign in Chuchulan and the Impure is great and an interesting challenge. And no, I don't hate his use of status effects, as he has so little health that it barely matters, honestly. Even in the Ivalice Chronicles, which is based upon the original, he didn't actually have that much health really. The 1v1 between Wheatgraph and Ramza is fun and interesting. And the fight with Bellius was also not too bad. It was a difficulty spike that was as good as it was bad. I don't like the difficulty spike when it comes to Bellius, but he was still a good fight. The Sluice Upon Reflection is a great and interesting map that I did not fail. Although I did get game overed on a lot of the rando maps. The rando maps were really the main reason why I save stated, by the way. I thought fighting Dice Dark was satisfying as fuck. Even if he and by extension Dramalok were pretty easy. The zombification of Zalbog, I actually gave it on both axes. Gameplay axis, the Word Alliance exclusive quest with Beowulf and Reese. That was good stuff. I gave the final battle against Ultima a double positive, and I gave the outro a double positive. 78 overall gameplay negatives. Gameplay positives, excuse me. Now let's get into the negatives. Alright. I hate defending missions. I really, really don't like them. They are irritating. And a lot of times the enemies just beeline for the defense victim, which is annoying. Did you accidentally confirm a tutorial? Sucks to be you. Can't skip it. Yeah, I mean, they're good tutorials, but if you accidentally start one, oops, go through the entirety of it. God. So, I gave negatives to fighting the different classes of Chocobo. I gave one each to each of the types of Chocobos. The yellow Chocobos heal constantly and of all of the colors, they are the cowards. They run away like pansy little bitches when their HP gets low. Then there's the black Chocobos that can hit you from range, and status effects on their allies is completely useless. And then there's red Chocobos who have way too much damage output for what they are. Or hate Choco Meteor with a burning passion. I hate how slow combat is. I know that sounds weird, but I really do think that this combat is just too fucking slow. Way too slow. And it just irritates the shit out of me. I find the interface to be more than a bit clunky. The encounter design for random encounters is just all over the place, and I ended up hating it, which is not helped by the fact that trash mobs level with you, and it's also not helped that the encounter rate is through the goddamn roof when random encounters are not being actively looked for. And I actually showed this off on camera. It is more common to get a frickin' random encounter just trying to go to your destination than it is literally going back and forth between 2 points trying to get an encounter. I hate the camera. The camera was a triple negative. Summon animations suck and they cause headaches. Flashing lights, and the summons are just like these static JPEGs, and I kind of low-key hate it. It looks awful. I'm sorry. The art on the summons themselves is fine, but give me a goddamn character model. Like, what the hell is that crap, you know? Enemy ability RNG is also annoying as fuck sometimes. The LIAI is horrendous, and I gave it a triple negative there. I also gave a triple negative to Rafa and Merrick's mantras, as they're honestly hot garbage and one of the worst ability sets in the game, as they have random targeting and can easily fuck you in the ass and then some. So yeah, triple negative to those things. Then we started getting into the classes that I ended up hating. For me, Archer is the absolute worst class in the game, no question. Even the special classes that are in the OG at least have utility on their side, but Archer has shitty ranged attacks and are fucked if the enemy gets close. Those in a much worse sense than in Fire Emblem, especially Three Houses. So yeah, triple negative to the Archer class. Then there's White Mage, which suffers from the faith mechanic sucking, and the revives being able to miss, which is just no. Arithmetician is not interesting to me. It's a gimmick and a confusing one, as you need to know what the hell you are doing with it, and unless you are playing in the Ivalice Chronicles, good fucking luck. Look, and even then, I don't like this gimmick, as I feel it requires more brain power than should be required. So the Arithmetician, if you don't know, effectively is all about numbers, where certain character's experience is, their turn order, their level, blah 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 blah, and it's so painful because you have to pay attention, and it can easily you can easily be screwed over. It's just like, no, you have to put in way too much work to make Arithmetician work, in my opinion. And that was it, just those three classes. Now, with sort of one exception, because this is one of the grindiest FFs in terms of getting good stuff. The problem is the slowness of combat combined with the obnoxious design choices with trash mobs, combined with the fact that some classes are just not suited to combat at all, and yeah, the grind is a triple negative. And then there's getting Dark Knight. I guess I just broke off to talk about the grindiness. That's my bad, because it looks like I've got more class bitching here. So, and I know why. Because the grindiness led right into my talk about unlocking Dark Knight. Because nowhere is the grind more personified than in unlocking Dark Knight. Level 8 for Samurai, Ninja, and Geomancer and Dragoon, which is fine. And Mastering Knight, pretty simple. But then there's the fact that you need to let the death counter hit 20, turn 20 human, specifically human enemies to crystals / chests, and acquire 8,000 plus JP for Black Mage to master it. For the record, the most I have ever seen is when you're ridiculously high level and you're getting like 80 or 90 JP per focus per action. But again, that requires you to be ridiculously high level to get. It's obnoxious. And if you're trying to do it low level, oh god, you're going to be there forever. I think one of my sessions on the World Alliance session was literally just me grinding out for Dark Knight. God, triple negative to that. Now, while I'm not going to dog on Black Mage outside of its role in getting you Dark Knight, I will condemn the 10,670 JP needed to fully master Time Mage, as 3k of that alone is just teleport, and the rest of the skills vary in usefulness. I learnt of this in the Ivalice Chronicles, which is warning me. This was one of the things that this was a negative I retroactively gave because the Ivalice Chronicles kind of showed this off for me, and I'm like, oh my god. Good yikes. You know? So that was a triple negative to I know I'm gonna get some flack for this, but Cloud. Poor Cloud, man. They did him dirty as fuck in this game. So the first problem is that he starts at level 1 and is not recruitable until Chapter 4, and deep into Chapter 4 at that. Then there's the second problem. His limit skills are based on magic, which is weird and just what? And finally, the third problem, they're not usable until you get the Materia Blade, which requires treasure hunter on a specific tile on a map that is otherwise not used for anything else in the game. Oh, and the game doesn't even tell you about it, by the way. Yeah, they did Cloud so fucking dirty, and didn't fix him until the 2025 remaster, aka the Ivalice Chronicles, because in the Ivalice Chronicles, he's actually decent. Go figure. Then there's the fact that healing in this game is absolutely thwarted. The first problem is you can heal enemies, which is already an issue, as most white magic is AoE. Then there's the second. Then the second is because of the faith system. Revives can miss with white magic. Any white/healing magic has a chance to miss at all. Having a chance to miss at all is frankly irritating. Making it so that it can be interrupted, that's fine, as that makes sense. But making it so the spell itself can miss, that's just assholic design and easily worth a triple negative there. Speaking of the faith system, when you know what the fuck it is and what it is and does, is it sounds good on paper, but ultimately is a hindrance that fucks over magic builds massively. Because the way the faith system is that the more faith you have, the more damage you do with magic, but also the more damage you get inflicted with magic. So if you're going for a physical build, you want to have low faith. But if you want to, if you want to go for a magic build, you have to go high magic. It's not a great system. The first fight after Garland is frustrating, as you have little chance to prepare, and you either make Delita slightly pissy at you, or you turn it into a defense subject mission, and those, as described above, suck. That was the only negative Chapter 1 got. That on gameplay, by the way. Rescuing Wistadio. I really didn't like that fight in the War of the Lions version, as wow. Yeah, if you turn it into a defend mission, it'll be a pain in the ass. Elias, like I said, difficulty spike that I both like and dislike. Then there's Fenith Creek. Okay, so Fenith Creek is a place where you have a story battle, and it's one of the few monster story maps, right? Well, Fenith Creek is the first time you can encounter red chocobos. Yeah, that's why it's a triple. Limberry Castle's gate. The fight at Limberry's Castle Gate is a status effect nightmare. I'm pretty sure that's Limberry's babes fighting you. And I also did not like Midlight Skeep. I felt it was kind of a bad dungeon, and one that I only finished on the Ivalice Chronicles version. So 58 negatives there. What did I say? Plus 19 to gameplay. Yes, plus 19 to gameplay. So yeah, that is indeed the whatchamacallit. That is indeed War of the Lions. Now it's time for the other side of that coin. because, as I said, we're doing both in one go, which means it's time to switch over to this document. Time to switch over to this document. So, 7 sessions for the Ivalice Chronicles. This one did not have cheats because I didn't have access, nor did I need them. And, again, funded by Ink Chaos, because this plus the War of the Lions version was effectively what we decided on after I literally rage quit Elden Ring. So here we go. So most of these are going to be the same, so let's just get into it, and I'll talk about the different ones when they come up. So, sprite work, brickwork, animations, background lore, and the Lucavi, all the same. Here's the first change, and our first timestamp for Ivalice Chronicles. Chronicles specifically. The Encyclopedia. So good. I freaking love this thing. Oh my god, it is an amazing bit of background lore delivery and makes learning about the ins and outs of this story all the better as it adds to the flavor. I am reminded about FF16 and its encyclopedia, which was known as Active Time Lore there. And while it's not available during cutscenes, I still think it's enough to warrant the triple positive I gave it. Plus, there's the State of the Realm part, which I actually really like as well, as it is an excellent showcase to show where you are in the story and updates after every cutscene, which is great. Love it. Love it. Okay. World building is still a triple. Gameplay story integration is still a double. Plot is still a triple. Triple. Localization was also a triple yet again. And it's even changed enough from the War of the Lions version to be as good, but different enough to not be a one-to-one copy, which I didn't think I'd be praising, but here we are. Change is good when it's good, and this is good enough to warrant the triple positive. Then there's the added bonus to the fact that the animated cutscenes are in here complete with the new dub, though I admit they aren't as good. I kinda wish you had the option to view either the old animation or the War of the Lions version, but still, the fact that they are here at all, and that 2 scripts were recorded so they could be included in the first place, that level of effort needs to be commended, and I gave that a triple positive. The story sequencing, once again a triple. The pacing, once again a triple. Atmosphere was a single. Tone was a triple. The themes, internal continuity is still a triple. Dialogue is still a triple. Okay. Voice acting. Yes, I rushed through all that because, again, it's all the same thing. Voice acting. The voice acting in this version is just insane. Square has a weird record with this, as it is literally the meme from Road to El Dorado, because either you get gold, or you get painful, agonizing failure. In fact, if I were to actually do that meme, I literally would put Ivalice Chronicles as the gold, and in the painful, agonizing failure as Dealfield, because God, this is such night and day, and I'm amazed how well, not really close, but like pseudo close to in proximity, I saw these. Like, hot damn, you know? With special voice to the voice direction, which is just superb in this version. Holy crap. Love it. Also, positive to the usual positive I give, largely unknown VAs. Hell yeah. The reason being is that I'm not thinking about other roles that these voice actors have done. I know that's a weird thing to praise. I know I'm the only one in the world that will ever praise that. I don't care. The humor is made even better with the voice acting. Another great feature is that all of the bonus dialogue plays in order and is continuously if you don't get it naturally. So a great example of this is actually in the first Lucavi boss fight. Right, that's actually what I'm going to show for this. That's probably what I'm going to show for this. Is the Lucavi fight, Chuchulan, right? Because there was like 3 or 4 conversations that went in a row because I had gotten so far in the fight that the game was like, oh, I need to play all of these scenes because this player actually knows what the fuck he's doing. Okay, let's move it along. Which is so good. I love it. So good. Music is still awesome as well. Dude, he's been live for like close to an hour. The fuck are you high on? Sorry, got a notification that said the Lore Runner went live on Twitch. He's been live on Twitch for a while now. When I said back earlier, you can even tell when he went live in this video because I said that tab is still muted when he went live again. Anyways, so 50 presentation positives. Whew. Now let's get to the characters. I've already said my piece on basically all of the characters. I'm only going to mention the voice actor positives that I gave. Ophelia, Agrius, and I want to give special shout out to Hannah Melbourne as Agrius, because damn does she do a good job and add layers just from her performance alone. No. You know what? Oops. I'm actually going to put a timestamp so that you can actually hear a line from her. So.
I see even the noble order of the Northern Sky cannot rid itself of vulgar knaves.
Yeah. Moving on. Ramza is still a triple. Then there's Joe Pitts. It's as Ramza. This performance I gave a triple positive to. It helps that he has more to work with than Phil Lamar did in War of the Lions. And I think that's the main reason why I'm praising this so much. His performance constantly elevates Ramza's character in many scenes. There's a lot of uncertainty in his voice in certain scenes, There's a lot of shakiness, nervousness when it's needed. The voice direction is through the damn roof, and Joe Pitts puts in such a fantastic performance that I love it. Speaking of great performances, Delita was a triple positive in this version too, and Greg Lowe adds a surprising amount of depth to Delita. The same one would expect from Robin Atkin Downes had he been given a full script. Then there's Dice Dark, who is still a good villain, but what makes him even freaking better is Ben Starr as Dice Dark. Now, I'm not gonna throw perfect time for this song. This is his theme, isn't it? Yes! This is his theme! Yes! Oh! Fuck yeah, that was the perfect timing! Ha! So Ben Starr's performance is Dice Dark. Now, I'm not gonna really talk about it until we get to the scene that made me appreciate Ben Starr's voice acting as Dice Dark completely. But I have to admit, because at first I kept hearing Clive from Final Fantasy XVI, but I still feel it's a good performance, because Clive was well voice acted in Final Fantasy XVI. But the more I heard of the performance, the stronger it got, and it was so good. Zalbog's good. Alma is still great. This one's a weird one, because this is a case of me giving a positive to the voice actor, but not the character. Ben Allen as Argath. Ben Allen's performance as Argath is the only thing I can tolerate from the fucker. Argath being the fucker, not Ben Allen. Ben Allen is getting all of the fucking praise here. Okay? I want to make that crystal clear. Crystal clear. When I say the fucker, I mean Argath. His character, not the actor. The actor's amazing. Holy shit. Well, at least his performance is amazing. I don't know the man personally. The actor does such a good job that it honestly made me question if I should be as harsh on Argath in this version. And then I remembered that it's Argath that Argath does not narratively fit IMO, and well, here we are. Weegraf is still a good villain. Helen Gafgarian is still a good villain. Orin is still cool, is still a bro, and Construct 8 is still really awesome. Now, while Barboneth's death was a good scene in the older versions, I honestly never felt it was positive worthy. And then this version happened. Yeah, you're gonna hear that a lot. Where I'll be praising this version's voice acting, by the way. So strap in. That's the thing you need to strap in for this time. The first confrontation with Meludia, even better with the voice acting. Delia's rage is still a good scene. Delia's lamentations are sold well in this version too. Meludia's final confrontation is good. The whole confrontation with Weegraf is still legit. The final map of the dialogue in the final map of Chapter 1 is still good. Yes, I had the revulsion reaction to it in this version, but that is because Ben Allen sells the fuck out of it. Again, praise to the voice acting, because I hate what Argath's saying, but Ben Allen's is doing so good with it. Ah, God. Chapter 1's final scene is still well done, even in the old style. And Ramza's final words is the War of the Lions speech, and is done well by Joe Pitts. Still, it's really well done. Good. I still gave a positive to the Corpse Brigade plotline, and I actually gave a triple positive to this intro from a story perspective. effective, because, yeah. Uh, reuniting at the Falls, meeting with Stadio, Agrius and Ivalice heart to heart. The voice acting enhances the discussion between Gavgarian and Daisadarg, so I actually gave that scene a positive in this version. Fake execution dialogue is still amazing. The reveal that Avelia is a double is still a great scene. Still love Delacroix's transformation in making what the Lucavi are apparent, complete with change in voice, which is a wonderful touch, as that was more so hinted at, but not really made clear in the older versions. Chuchulain has added dialogue which fleshes out the Lucavi, which is great. Even if there are multiple bits of dialogue that play back to back, that was the whole dialogue playing out if you didn't get it. Agrius' rejection to being Chuchulan's ally. Love how that was delivered. More praise to Hannah Melbourne. God damn. Ha! Delita starting the War of the Lions, still a triple positive. The entire Orban Monastery arc in Chapter 3. Elder Simon's End is actually more sold here because of the voice acting. The Scriptures of Germanique are still a great lore expansion, still worth the 2 positives. There is something I think I gave a negative for because of that, but I'll hold off until we get there to mention it. The declaration of Delita's desire to rebuild Ivalice for Avelia, still an awesome scene, still a triple positive. The second encounter with Orin, still a good scene. Construct's intro was baked into its positive in War of the Lions, but here, the voice acting just sells the shit out of that scene, so yeah. Then there's the church scene, which works even better in this version thanks to Joe Pitts and Greg Lowe's performances, which add wonderful character to them both. And while the music overpowering as it was in the War of the Lions scenes is sorely missed, it doesn't tarnish the scene, and yeah, I still think I still decided to give the scene itself a triple positive. And I decided to also give the whole Delita's alteration to the church's plot, Ramza asking Delita to join him, and Delita admitting that he doesn't know if he loves Avelia or not, just worked very well. Still a 6 positive scene, absolutely. And then there's the pre-rendered version accessible through the events section of the Chronicles. While the Ivalice Chronicles version of these scenes have been a wash for the most part, with several of them being better as the in-engine scenes, means this one adds a line at the end that works to give a bit of a reason as to why Delita allowed Zalmor to see him. Namely, that he does care for Ramza, regardless of it is because of his use as a pawn or his value as a friend. There's a bit more intrigue there. The best of lot section is still interesting and lucrative, since recruitment is enhanced by the voice acting. Yeah, like I said, you're gonna hear that a lot. The meeting between Daisadarg and Lawfree is made all the better with the voice acting. Look, if/when it stops being true, I'll shut the hell up, but I'm just gonna keep gushing about the voice acting because it keeps being awesome. Delita and Orin's confrontation, still love the way there are multiple interpretations of Delita. Zalbog in examining Barboneth's grave, still a great scene. Alright, the confrontation with Daisadarg. Goddamn. It's even better in this version because of, you guessed it, the voice acting. Peter Hanna, Joe Pitts, and especially Ben Starr Small wonder there, but shrug. All nail this scene, and by extension, this whole damn map. And this whole damn map is just so good. Oh, it is so good. Oh my god. The voice acting alone in the scene warrants a triple, with special praise to Ben Starr, as well as Peter Hanna. Peter Hanna plays Zolbog, if you're wondering. By the way. Then there's the zombified Zolbog, which, if you remember, was a single positive in Lord of the Lions, but is a triple thanks to the voice acting here. I still love this ending, and the voice acting yet again makes it better, so a triple. And the outro was also a triple. Oh my god! That was a lot. 138 positives. Let's get into the story negatives, because there are a few. Let's get into it. I hate the auto advance, not just staying on between scenes. It's kind of annoying. Not to mention that the timing feels a little off at times, and honestly, it keeps being a constant issue that I ended up giving it a triple negative. So the auto advance was a triple negative. Blue balling us on some of the villains is still damn cruel. I know they were limited, but there it is. Argath is still a triple negative. He's still way over the top and drags characters like Zolbog down with him in this version too. Hell, for as good of a job as Ben Allen does with him, I'd argue it makes it all the worse, because the direction makes it crystal clear that his level of douchebaggery was a feature, not a bug. And I still feel he is too over the top. The character, not the voice actor. I keep saying that. Ludovic and Barrington still complete wastes. Marek is still irritating. Hitting and not even remotely interesting as a character. Try though his V8 does to salvage him. So credit where it's due. Again, no disrespect to the voice actor on any of these characters. I have nothing but respect for the voice acting here. Yep, still hate the killing of Tetra and how contrived it is, and I still hate the lack of consequences for Zolbog. Again, at the very least, you could have had Zolbog, Dystark, or both call Argath a worthless pawn in some form or another, and it would have made his death satisfying AF. So, yeah, no. While I enjoy the expansion of the lore, I actually gave a negative to the 3 back-to-back conversations with Chuchulan. Little extreme, little ridiculous. I gave a triple negative to the fact that the scriptures of Germanique are not voiced, which is just what? I hated that with every fiber of my being. I also still don't like Merrick getting revived by the Horus site. My issue is, and has always been, just leaving him dead would be a poetic end for Merrick, but instead, he lives and Tetra is slain by Argath because of the plot. Fuck this shit. And then I still don't like the filler of Chapter 4, for a total of 22 negatives. Yeah, that's it. That's still it. Seriously it. Wow. Now let's get to the gameplay, which fared a hell of a lot better than the frickin' War of the Lions version did. With plus 52. let's get into it. Soundtrack, options, tutorials. The tutorials were even better because they were the pop-up variety. The HUD, oh man, the HUD is actually brilliant in this version, and I couldn't stop gushing about it. Triple positive there. The interface in this version, smooth as butter, and tweaks to even movement are now, and as now until you act, you can undo your movement at any time. Hell yeah. Then there's the fast forward feature, which I also gave a triple. Normally, I leave this alone because I don't feel it adds or subtracts anything, but here, the fast forward button is a godsend. More so than in some RPGs like Trails. Battles no longer feel like a slog thanks to it, and because it basically mutes the in-battle dialogue and skips the in-battle cutscenes, it works better than in any other RPG I've played, and it is programmed so the menus are not sped up, meaning that your menu inputs are not made to be wonky. So yeah, triple positive there. Info in game this time, and with this version was a triple positive. I absolutely freaking adore the job tree visualization, which shows you which jobs you lead into what, and will show you what you need to get that, what levels you need other classes to be, and what classes need to be leveled in order to get that job unlocked. Great stuff. The save system gives you multiple save slots yet again, and with a lot of good prompts for saving. The autosaves are worth a triple positive because they're honestly super lucrative in this one. Itemization, core combat this time, and with the tweaks to the interface, warrants a triple positive. Still love the combat animation, still love the spell effects. Difficulty curve was still a double. Power progression curve was still a double. Random encounters are no longer pace breakers, as they are optional, and you can simply press a button to engage the random encounters without moving. Yeah, that feature alone is a triple positive. Hot damn. Also retrying. Random encounter going south? Story battle fucking you in the ass? No problem, the pause menu in combat has you covered, with the ability to retry the battle or flee to the world map, sacking only the X and other rewards that were gained from that map. And since this lets you sidestep shit like, say, Gafgarian's backstab at the falls, that's a triple positive. Sure, the multi-battles need to be done again. So, for example, there's some places like the one that ends with Chuchulon. The two battles, like Gafgarian and then Chuchulon. You'd have to do Gafgarian again if you fled to the world map against Chuchulon. But other than that, that's a small price to pay, Job system is still awesome. Some mixing and matching is still awesome. The variety of the jobs is still awesome. Classes such as Agrius as the Holy Knight, still awesome. Also, I love the fact that they bring back the chants from the PS1 version. God, I missed that in the War Alliance version, and they're here, and they're awesome, and yes! Yes, more praise to Hannah Malvern. Sorry. Anyways. Squire, Chemist, Monk, Thief, Orator, Geomancer, Dragoons, Ninja, Dancer, Bard. All the same positives I gave the War of the Lions version, for all the same reasons I gave the War of the Lions version. Moving on. Map design, encounter design in this time. The guest allies never crystallizing, viscerality, all good stuff. Now, let's talk about recruiting new characters, because in the older versions, you had to basically keep a denying and redoing in order to recruit new people. However, in this version, it gives you a list of candidates. Here's the people that we have available for hiring. You can choose which one you want. That's awesome. Love it. That is so much better. Holy crap. Monster recruiting, still a double. The acquisition of JP for other classes that I talked about with that mage, white mage, black mage, knight monk example, that's still here. Dark Knight's not in here. Hey, needed to reword that because Dark Knight's not in this version. I hope the answer to that is yet, but we'll see. Hey, gameplay story integration was still a double. Enemy variety was still a positive. So the replay value in this one, thanks to the quality of life features, the variety of the jobs and abilities, this version is triple positive territory for replay value. Hell yeah, I'm not going to apologize for that. 84 presentation positives this time. Yeah, I think the Ivalice Chronicles has some good quality of life, wouldn't you say? The prologue maps. Both confrontations with Meludia, Weegraf, Argath, and the intro, all the same. The Gafgarian fights, it's Choo Long, which I think is actually a double this time. I'm where he wasn't in the other one, I think. The Sluice, Dice Darg being satisfying as fuck to take down. The zombification of Zalbog, and the optional little boss Serpentarius at the bottom of Midlight's Deep, which I actually thought was an interesting battle. Ultima is still a double battle at all, and the outro is a double positive as well. If the War of the Lions exclusive content was here, then this would have been bumped up to a triple, but oh well. 101 gameplay positives, which was a fuck of a lot more positives than I thought. Okay. Let's get to the negatives. Because there's a few to talk about. What options here are fine, but the small number of them is lacking for a 2025 release, in my opinion. Defending missions still suck. Still don't like them. Fighting Chocobo still sucks. 1 negative for each Chocobo. The encounter design for random battles, the trash mobs leveling with you, that still sucks. The camera, it's still downright obnoxious at times. I still don't like the summon animations. Enemy ability RNG is still annoying as hell. Ally AI is kind of bad, but nowhere near as bad as it used to be, admittedly. The encounter rate is just too damn high. Thank fuck you can decline to fight them in this version. Archer is still the worst class in the game. No question. White Mage still has the faith mechanic crap. Not be interesting. Arithmetician is still not interesting to me. The grindiness is still there, absolutely. Time Mage, it's just wow, Grind Central. It was here that I discovered how much you needed to deal with in order to fully master the class, and I was just like, no. Rafa and Merrick's mantras are still crap. They're still a triple. Healing is still borked. I basically just literally copied the negative over. The faith system, I don't like it. Okay, now we gotta talk about Wheatgraph and Bellius. So in this version, it is based on the PS1 version, because this is a remaster of the PS1 version, which was more than a little obnoxious. Wheatgraph himself is already an issue with his irritating speed, and that practically demands you get hit at least twice. But his whole is by twice. That should say by his holy sword attacks. Next, at minimum. But then there's the fact that you can get pseudo soft locked in a cycle of bullshit, which, when combined with the spike in difficulty that is this fight, well, both phases end up sucking. So yeah, the Wheatgraph portion by itself was triple negative worthy in my opinion. Then there's Bellius. Oh, good fucking lord, is he obnoxious in this version. True, in the War of the Lions, if you weren't ready for him, he would destroy you, but in this version, he hits way harder, spams summons, and his ads have obnoxious speed themselves. Which, yeah, triple negative there. With a extra negative for the difficulty spike specific for that fight. Then there's Finnith Creek, which is still a royal pain in the ass and still a triple negative. I still don't like the Limbury Castle Gate fight. That is against Limbury's women. And then apparently, War of the Lions really nerfed the difficulty because Milan Gate, he pissed me off. Which kind of surprised me, if I'm honest. And then Midlight's Deep is still an obnoxious dungeon. 49 negatives, that was it. Whew! Yeah. That's it. That's all I got. Yeah, like I said, when speeding through it, we only got to 1 hour and 46 minutes in it, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like it wasn't even like 40 minutes in before I was done with the story on the other version. But yeah, that's War of the Lions, ladies and gentlemen. That's War of the Lions and the Ivalice Chronicles, ladies and gentlemen. Good games. I more so recommend the Ivalice Chronicles version because that one has all of the great quality of life stuff and the amazeballs voice acting. Oh my god, I almost feel like I want to just play War of the Lions again, or not War of the Lions. Ivalice Chronicles again, just, right now that I'm talking about it again. I'm not going to do that, obviously. I've got other shit I got to do, and I've got to edit this thing. This thing's actually due pretty soon. But that's it for me. Hey, that is Final Fantasy Tactics, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts. Next up on the docket, Shining Force 1 and 2. Yeah, that's another one where I'm probably going to be combining the rating videos into one, because that's probably not going to take me very long. So I'm going to go work on that. Probably going to rest my throat a little bit because I got pretty excited during all that. And I will see you next time with Shining Force. So until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. See you around.